Hey, good morning. Steve Zucker. Welcome back to polkzoo channel and the guitar letter system. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about this Ibanez guitar. I did a search for this online. I have the only one in the world like this. Now, the point I want to make today, because everybody thinks they're an expert nowadays, I've been buying and selling guitars over 40 years. I'm still learning, but I've learned a lot. You got to understand, guitars made in the 70s, especially by up-and-coming companies like Ibanez. This is a script logo made in the 70s. It's probably considered like a lawsuit model because it's got the three-piece back like a Martin D35. This guitar sounds better than Martin D35s I've sold for $3,200. But the point I'm trying to make, this says model 677 in here. It also says Concord, and it says Concord on the headstock. But I did a search, and most Concords are not like this. Most Concords do not have the three-piece rosewood back. They don't sound anything close to this. It's not like nowadays when if you order a newer guitar, they're all the same. Back in the 70s, when Ibanez was putting itself on the map, there was a lot of variations in guitars. They weren't all the same, even the same model. They were experimenting. They had custom made guitars made by luthiers in the research and development department. So I mean, this is the only one of these like this I could find on the net right now, the only one. So it's pretty special. Most Concords I've sold in the past have had either maple backs or mahogany backs. Very, very few were made like this. So the point I'm just trying to make is sometimes I get emails from people, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's not cut and dry. It's not like every, Concord is the same. It's not. Back when Ibanez was in the development, really working hard to put themselves on the map, and the quality is just unbelievable, by the way. Every model wasn't the same, even if it had the same name, Concord, or the same number, 677. They weren't the same, and very few were made like this. I used to be an Ibanez collector. I had a ton of Ibanez stuff. And it all went up in value tremendously, by the way, too, which I think, So, I mean, if you were to buy a Gibson made in the 70s, it would be thousands and thousands of dollars. This is just as good, if not better. Just tremendous. But the point I'm just trying to make is every guitar wasn't made exactly the same, years and years and years ago, because companies like Ibanez were doing a lot of research and development. They were trying to put themselves on the map. They were raising investor money. They had special runs. But this guitar, see, it's got those overtones. So when people send me, comments off my YouTube, sometimes they act like they have all the information. My information comes from doing this for over 40 years, and like I said, sorry if this is a bit redundant, but this is an extremely rare Concord model, but I don't even feel like I should be calling it a Concord model because I think it confuses people. But you just have to understand, back in the 70s, when Ibanez was putting themselves on the map. And I happen to believe this guitar is extremely undervalued. That's another point I want to make, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of guitars are sleepers. And I think, in fact, if I would have had my whole collection of Ibanez that I sold now, I would have made a lot more money. I made money when I sold this stuff, but it's gone up even tremendously more since then. I mean, you got to understand, Ibanez is one of the top guitar companies in the world. I mean, they've got George Benson, John Schofield, Pat Metheny endorsing, and I think a lot of people don't realize how valuable and how well made these Ibanez guitars are from the 70s. This guitar just sounds unbelievable. Like I said, I mean, I like Martins, but this guitar has more tone. I'm cold as ice here. So the point I want to make is that even though this guitar says Concord, it says 677, I have the only one in the world for sale right now like this. I have not seen any other ones with the three-piece rosewood back. And there probably are some out there. But my point just being is that it wasn't etched in stone. It's not like nowadays if you buy, you know, like a Stratocaster made in Mexico or USA or whatever, it's a certain model and they're all the same, blah, 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 blah. Back when guitar companies were developing, they didn't always stick to the exact same specifications for a guitar. This is really a valid point, you know. But because I get emails from people that blah, 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 and they think they know everything about everything, and they don't, you know. With all due respect to everybody, this is a very rare guitar. It's a variation or a variant on this model, and I can understand why it's confusing to some people, but you know, they were putting themselves on the map. So yeah, this really has a sound. It's got those overtones that you just don't get. Even like I said, I've sold a lot of Martin D35s, and I dig them, but they don't have the mid range of this guitar. So I mean, this guitar, like I said, if this was a '70s Gibson, it'd be going for thousands and thousands. Just as good, if not better. One of the reasons Ibanez got sued. So I guess I could call this a lawsuit model, even though. Anyway, that's the point I wanted to make today. Every guitar is not the same, especially guitars made in the '70s. The same model, the same name. There's variations on it, and like I said, I don't even know if I've ever even had one like this. I know like I said, I've had Concords that had the maple back or mahogany back, but this is clearly more like a lawsuit model. It's got the three-piece rosewood back, like a Martin D35. So, just a hell of a box, you know. I think this back is solid on this one too. It just, I'm looking at the grain and comparing the top and the back, and it just sounds so good. But even if it isn't a solid back, it could be, it could not be. I think it is, but even if it isn't, you have to understand too, luthiers, a lot of European luthiers use a lot of laminate woods, but they use thicker layers of wood, and they do what's called, what I call kind of tone tapping or tone augmentation, or they actually match pieces of wood. They knock on them and compare the tones and put them together. But I think this is a solid back. Listen to that tone, that overtone. Yeah, this is a hell of a box. Much better mid-range than like a D28 or D35. You hear that? Anyway. So you have to understand that when you're looking at guitars that are older, especially from the '70s or even early '80s, you got to understand that there's a lot of variation on models, even with the same number. Like this is 677, but I just did a search online. I didn't find one other one like this at all. This is a very, very rare guitar. It sounds incredible. You have to kind of be a speculator. You have to. I mean, there's a lot of guitars that, I mean, I'll pay a little bit more for a guitar if I think it's special. And a lot of the guitars that I chase down sometimes take a year to find. I'll have a list of certain things I'm looking for. It can take up to a year to find. I'll pay a little bit more, but you know, people who've purchased guitars from me know that I know what the hell I'm doing, and I find really rare stuff. But this is a really rare guitar, and every Ibanez from the '70s or '80s that says Concord is not the same. There's some models that were made for endorsements, for investor meetings, almost like a custom shop before it was called custom shop. They would just get special batches of wood. They'd have special teams of luthiers. From some of the information I've received from people that used to work with Ibanez is that they had a team of luthiers that lived in the mountains, and they used to get together and trade wood and trade secrets and make guitars together. And they spent a lot of time, kind of like a secret society almost. But yeah, this is a really special guitar, and I have not seen one other one like this. So you can't just say, well, every Concord is like this, and then blah, 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 blah. It's not etched in stone, guys. If you're interested, you can email me, polkzoo@gmail.com. Take care.